Imagine for a second that you've just survived something completely unimaginable.
Yeah, the worst kind of trauma.
Exactly. You've been trapped in a hospital bed, just suspended in a coma for 2 long years,
Right.
locked completely inside the darkness of your own mind. And now, finally, the nightmare is supposedly over.
You're finally going home.
Right. You're coming home, and you picture the comfort of your childhood bedroom, the smell of familiar things, the safety of your own
The
walls.
place where you feel most secure.
Yeah. But then you step through the front door and you realize your safe haven is, well, it's warping.
Oh, man.
It's twisting into this horrifying funhouse mirror of reality. Like the walls are leaning, the shadows are whispering, and the very appliances in your kitchen seem to be, like, mocking you.
It's honestly the ultimate betrayal of sanctuary. I mean, we inherently trust our homes to be our grounding force, right?
Absolutely.
It's the place where reality is supposed to be the most solid and predictable for you.
Yeah, your baseline.
Exactly, your baseline. So when that solidity when it begins to dissolve in the exact place you go to heal, the psychological ground just completely falls out from under you.
Which is terrifying.
Truly terrifying. You aren't just fighting a physical ailment anymore. You are actively fighting your own environment.
And that brings us to our mission for today's deep dive.
Mm.
We are going to explore the deeply unsettling developments in Jason Matherson's recovery.
Yes, and there's a lot to unpack there.
So much. We're tracking his transition from this sterile, highly monitored hospital coma to a really dark, hallucinatory waking state right in his childhood home.
Which, as we know from Troy St. James's incredible text, In Darkness We Sleep, is just a masterclass in psychological horror.
It really is. It's a narrative that forces us to look at the really blurry, terrifying lines between medical trauma, psychological fracture, and spiritual awakening.
Or perhaps a spiritual descent.
Right, a descent. And to really grasp the gravity of Jason's situation, we have to look at how he actually arrived at this point.
Part 8. Jason held out his right arm to his mom, who was sitting in a small living room with the TV on. Can you take this thing off? Your PICC line? It looks infected. Well, you should keep that in so you can get medicine. I'll have someone come out and see if we can change arms. They said as long as there's blood flow. Well, you still need your daily shots of Barbicaine. Jason looked at his limp arm with concern. Barbicaine? What is that? You were prescribed that when you came out of your coma. It keeps your mind working, helps with pain, and gives you energy. Don't worry, it's all natural. Well, if I need it, then I want to change arms. He glanced at his left arm, which had a perfectly good vein in the crook of the dead arm. The arm is warm, so it gets blood. There may be no feeling, but this, flexing his right arm, is killing me. His mom pulled his arm closer and could see the old tape was due for a change anyway. She reached for the phone and called Willie, who promised to come by after work. As the day grew longer, Jason found his interest in TV outweighed his interest in the newspaper. He sat in his father's recliner and watched daytime programs with his mom. You're looking at it again, she mused. Oh, I was, wasn't I? He put his arm down. The PICC line was annoying. Mom, before Willie gets here, can I have another dose? I mean, if the PICC line doesn't work, I don't want to miss tonight's shot. Of course. She got up and hurried up the stairs. Just then the doorbell rang. Jason looked through the window to see if it was Willie. If it were anyone else, then he would have had to leave the socializing up to his mom. His appearance would frighten. The door opened to Jason's surprise. Gloria? Willie came in. Oh, hi. Come on in, Willie. Jason closed the door after Willie lumbered into the living room. He was dressed in his work clothes, blue scrubs and tennis shoes. His ponytail was pulled back tight, drawing more attention to his wide eyes and high cheeks. Jason's mom came into the room with a loaded syringe. Willie instinctively took the syringe and checked the level. He pushed Jason down into the recliner and slipped the needle into his arm. There was a heat the moment the fluid entered the vein. Willie looked at Jason's eyes with a penlight, asking, "You want me to change arms?" Jason slowly nodded as his eyes started to fall closed. "Do you feel this, Jason?" Jason didn't respond. "How about this?" Nothing. Jason was asleep. Willie turned to Gloria and suggested that if the dead arm doesn't work, they could use the back of Jason's right hand. It will give his arm a break. Oh, and we can up the doses now. I think he's going to need it. Gloria agreed without question. Willie took up the dead arm in his large hands and gave the tissue a massage as if he were checking for hard spots. He moved up to the underarm and pressed into the glands. Then pressed his fingers into the brachial artery in the upper arm, then down to the wrist. Is he eating yet? Yes. Is his vision clear? Not really. Memory? He hasn't mentioned anything recent, but he remembers Iraq. He will. Willie let the dead arm fall and watched the fingers do nothing. Gloria asked, "Will the arm have to be amputated?" Most likely, but Dr. Wells thought Jason would be dead before that would be done. We can't do that here, you know. Oh no, Willie, I wasn't thinking of doing it. I just wanted to see if there was something you could do to reverse it. Willie grinned. I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve, but spinal nerves are a different matter. I knew a man up in Idaho, a cousin of a friend. He lost a leg due to a fall, not unlike your son. He was hiking and slipped off the edge of a mountain. The man wanted something done to get the feeling back, but doctors didn't wait. They cut it off right away. Gloria sighed. Willie continued. He now lives with phantom pains. He tried to sue the doctors because the phantom pain in his leg indicated that the spine had healed and was sending signals to the brain. The doctors fought back with more lawyers and even had the medical board on their side. Obviously, the man lost his case, but he made a big deal about it with the big news groups, CNN, MSNBC, and the rest. Gloria nodded as if the man's determination was just what she herself would do. But some of the channels refused to report on it. I think their lawyers didn't want to get into a pissing match with the doctor's lawyers, and the story never made it to the public. The man killed himself with a belt because he couldn't stand to live like that. Oh my God! In my belief, he's better off. The man was a native and the outdoors was his life. Without his leg, the world would become too small for him. He felt there was no way to enjoy the natural world and pass on to enjoy the spiritual world. Willie, is your belief that deep? Oh yes. I feel that nature is the spirit of the earth, and we are lucky to have her. My ancestors have believed that nature takes care of anyone who takes care of the earth. We nourish her, take care of her, and she repays us in health. In fact, penicillin was an old native remedy. People like Dr. Wells would rather dispense Midriacil for Jason's eyes, but I would use extracts of green hellebore or dogbane to open up his blood vessels. His vision will be clear again. Although Dr. Wells' medicine came from a chemistry lab, its origins were natural. The other comes more directly from the earth. That's why his comes with side effects, pain and mood changes. You won't get that from nature. Gloria smiled. What about hallucinations? You said that barbicane... Oh, this? He took up the spent syringe. Barbicane does cause patients to hallucinate, but this isn't barbicane. I just needed a base for Jason's medicine. It's a blend of barbicane and some natural ingredients. Another one of Dr. Wells' problems is that he was taught how to care for a coma patient, so that's all he did. He sustained Jason's life, but made no effort to improve it. Jason was lying there dying. He needed some help. so I helped. Willie put down the syringe and pointed at Jason's closed eyes. His eyes were rolling back and forth. He doesn't hallucinate. He dreams. Willie lifted one of Jason's eyelids. Gloria leaned over to see her son's eye darting around. Some dream? I wouldn't worry about it. The dream world is a spiritual world. Jason needs that right now. Gloria seemed to understand, but was still concerned. Will it end? Never. Willie concluded, he's doing just fine. Part 9. As Gloria Matherson restocked vials of Barbican and some new syringes from a package Willie brought, Jason dreamed. Downstairs, a teapot whistled, ready for a passion flower tea bag Willie left to help Gloria sleep. Shortly after drinking the tea, Gloria was in the dream world. Part 10. Drugs. The one-word newspaper headline caught Jason's attention. Mom! Jason's mother entered the kitchen where her son perused the daily paper and nibbled toast with honey. Jason asked with a childish voice, "When do I get my next injection?" His warm eyes touched her heart. She rushed upstairs and returned with a wooden box. She set it on the table and lifted the lid, saying, "Since Willie moved the PICC line, you should learn how to do this yourself. Every day about noon, okay?" She uncovered a handful of vials of clear liquid, large vials at that, about 30 syringes and individual packed alcohol swabs. She uncapped a syringe and plunged it into the rubber top of a Barbican vial. Jason's mouth watered as she drew out a dose and shot the excess up into the air. He could feel it in his throat, but his dead arm just hung there. This better work, he thought, and his mother took the dead arm in her hand. "Put in about this much," she said as she waved the syringe past Jason's hungry eyes. "A little more if you're in pain or want to sleep." She pressed the needle into the PICC line and pressed the liquid into Jason's vein. Immediately, Jason's attention was taken away by the laughter coming from the microwave across the kitchen. It was a deep, cynical laugh. "I'll leave this in the nightstand." She pulled Jason out of the chair by his good arm, and he stumbled along behind her to the bedroom. She sat him down on the bed and gave him a gentle push to get him to lie down. Jason started giggling as he watched the lantern sway overhead. The warm phantoms passed through his ears as the walls began to lean to and fro with each breath he took. Gloria couldn't help but laugh this time. The room itself broke out into hysterical laughter and the house joined in. The deep, cynical laugh joined in, no louder than the rest, but more noticeable since it had a rhythm all of its own. Jason didn't mind, as long as everyone was happy.
Yeah, because this wasn't some standard, celebratory discharge from the Columbia Hospital in Denver.
Not at all.
He didn't just leave with a neat little bundle of official prescriptions and a follow-up schedule. He was essentially smuggled out.
Smuggled out. That's the part that really sets the alarm bells ringing for me immediately.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Willie, who is this Native American hospital worker who views himself as a medicine man. He commits outright fraud to get Jason out of that facility.
Yeah, he literally forges the signature of Jason's primary physician, Dr. Wells, on the discharge papers.
It's wild. And there's this incredibly tense scene on a crisp spring afternoon. Willie is standing out on the curb, and he's physically shielding Jason's highly sensitive eyes from the harsh sun.
Right, while Jason's mother, Gloria, pulls the car around.
Yeah, and that visual Willie shielding Jason from the light, it feels highly symbolic of what's about to happen.
Oh, 100%. It's totally symbolic. He is actively taking control of Jason's perception from minute one.
While the official medical establishment is just left completely in the dark.
Exactly. I mean, the forged paperwork is just destined to be filed away in some basement storage somewhere.
Yeah, like a bureaucratic black hole.
Right. A black hole where Jason's continued care should be. He has been completely severed from the safety net of modern medicine.
Which lands him squarely in his father's old bedroom.
Oh, that was...
The text paints this vivid, almost suffocating picture of the space. It's this heavily stylized 80s room.
Very dated.
Very dark-stained wooden furniture that just absorbs the light, vertical striped wallpaper that plays tricks on your eyes.
And that stained glass lantern.
Yes. Stained glass lantern hanging from the ceiling. It feels less like a recovery room and more like a time capsule that he's been sealed inside of.
It's claustrophobic, and physically Jason is just a total mess at this point.
Oh, completely.
His right arm has a PICC line, which is a peripherally inserted central catheter.
Basically his delivery system for medication.
Exactly. But his left arm is completely paralyzed. It's a dead arm resulting from his severe spinal injuries in that helicopter crash in Iraq.
And that physical disparity between the two arms is going to become this massive focal point.
Oh, yeah. You have the right arm, which is functional but completely tethered to this chemical lifeline.
Right.
And then the left arm, which is suffering from monoplegia, it's completely lifeless to his command.
But it's still warm, right?
Yes. That's the creepy part. It remains warm, indicating that blood is actually still flowing through those deadened nerves and tissue.
It's like he's a man divided in two.
He really is. And while he has physically left the hospital building, he has brought this chemical tether home with him that is going to fundamentally alter his entire consciousness.
Okay, let's pause on that chemical tether because this drug, barbicaine, is where the narrative just really starts to spiral out of control.
That's the catalyst for sure.
Yeah. So we find Jason sitting in the living room.
Ooh.
The TV is just sort of murmuring in the background. And he's complaining about his PICC line.
Which makes sense because it sounds agonizing.
It is. The right arm is in absolute agony because the flexing of his muscles around the catheter is just killing him.
Yeah, every time he moves.
So he actually asks Gloria to change the line to his dead left arm.
Which is pretty logical from his perspective.
Totally. His reasoning is that since it has no feeling, he wouldn't suffer the pain, even though it still has blood flow.
Right.
But then he asks her, point blank, what barbicaine actually is.
And Gloria's response here is just, it's a masterclass in the kind of well-intentioned deception that caregivers sometimes fall into.
When they're just overwhelmed, you mean?
Exactly. They're terrified and overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
So she tells him it was prescribed after his coma to keep his mind working, to help with the pain, and to give him energy.
Sounds innocent enough.
Right. But then she weaponizes one of the most dangerous, misleading phrases in the entire lexicon of unregulated medicine.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
She says, "Don't worry, it's all natural."
Ugh. That phrase drives me completely crazy in this context.
It's so problematic.
All natural absolutely does not mean safe. I mean, cyanide is natural.
Asbestos is natural.
Exactly. But Gloria uses it as this thought-terminating cliche just to shut down Jason's very valid anxiety about what is going into his body.
It's the classic appeal to nature fallacy.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly seductive for desperate families.
How so?
Well, when modern synthetic medicine, which is represented here by Dr. Wells and this sterile environment of Columbia Hospital, when that fails to provide a miraculous cure or even a clear timeline for recovery, families often pivot hard toward the natural.
They just want something that works.
Right, and they equate natural with pure or healing. Gloria is using that phrase to comfort herself just as much as she is using it to comfort Jason.
But the physical reality Jason is experiencing completely shatters her soothing narrative, doesn't it?
Oh, completely.
He's in severe pain. His body is not reacting to this substance like it's some soothing herbal tea.
No, it's a violent reaction.
And that's exactly when Willie arrives at the house, straight from his shift at the hospital.
Still in his scrubs.
Still in his blue scrubs. And his long hair is pulled back tight into a ponytail, which the text notes draws sharp attention to his wide eyes and his high cheeks.
He looks the part of a medical professional.
He does, but his actions are entirely rogue.
Yeah, he completely bypasses all clinical protocol. He just walks in, takes the loaded syringe from Gloria, pushes Jason down into the recliner, and injects him directly into the PICC line.
And the exact moment the fluid enters Jason's vein, the text describes an immediate rush of heat.
Yes.
What is actually happening in his body in that split second? Like, why heat?
So the sensation of heat is a classic pharmacological indicator of rapid vasodilation.
Vasodilation.
Yeah, that's sudden widening of blood vessels. When certain highly potent chemical compounds hit the bloodstream, they trigger the smooth muscle cells that line the vessels to just relax.
Oh, I see.
So the blood rushes to the extremities and the surface of the skin, creating this literal flushing warmth.
That sounds intense.
It is. It indicates that the substance is highly concentrated, incredibly fast-acting, and is profoundly affecting the central nervous system within a matter of seconds.
Wow. And then Willie just checks Jason's eyes with a pen light, casually asks if he wants to change arms for the PICC line, and before Jason can even fully articulate a response, he's just out cold.
Entirely unconscious.
And this is where the deception is fully unmasked for the reader.
The big reveal.
Exactly. Because while Jason is sleeping, Willie and Gloria have this hushed, conspiratorial conversation. Gloria is obviously worried. She asks about the hallucinations Jason has been mentioning.
Right, and Willie just casually picks up the spent syringe and it dismantles the entire illusion.
He casually drops a bomb.
He admits to Gloria that while straight Barbican does cause hallucinations, he hasn't been giving Jason straight Barbican.
Wait, what?
He reveals that he is using the prescribed Barbican merely as a liquid base to deliver his own custom blend of quote-unquote natural ingredients.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the mechanics of this betrayal.
It's a lot to take in.
If Barbican is already a really strong prescription drug, what does mixing these unknown natural ingredients into it actually achieve biologically?
Yeah.
I mean, why use the Barbican at all if Willie believes his natural remedies are so superior?
Okay, so think of the blood-brain barrier as a highly secure computer network firewall.
Okay, a firewall.
Its entire evolutionary purpose is to prevent toxins, pathogens, and unauthorized chemicals in the blood from entering the super delicate tissue of the brain.
That makes sense. Keep the bad stuff out.
Exactly. Now, most plant-based raw extracts are bulky molecules. The firewall easily identifies them as foreign and just rejects them. They can't get in.
So they wouldn't cross into the brain on their own.
Right. However, a synthetic pharmaceutical like Barbican is chemically engineered by lab scientists specifically to bypass that firewall.
Oh, like a pre-approved program allowed on the network.
Precisely. By using Barbican as a base, Willie is essentially creating a Trojan horse.
That is terrifying.
It is. He takes the approved synthetic delivery mechanism and just packs it full of his unrefined psychoactive botanicals. The Barbican unlocks the door to the brain, and Willie's reality-altering concoction floods right in.
So it's not just a side effect.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's a targeted hijacking of Jason's neurochemistry.
Which really explains why Jason is completely stripped of his agency here. He isn't a patient. He is a passive vessel for Willie's pharmacological experiments.
A literal guinea pig in his own home.
Yeah. And the physical toll this takes on Jason isn't some slow, gradual build. We see the manifestation of a deep cellular addiction forming almost instantly.
It's incredibly fast.
A few days pass, and Jason is sitting in the kitchen. Gloria brings out this wooden box.
The ritual begins.
Right. She lifts the lid to reveal these large vials of clear liquid, 30 syringes and alcohol swabs.
Equal full setup.
And the moment she plunges the needle into the rubber top of the vial, Jason's mouth actually waters.
It's a profound physiological reaction. I mean, we often casually refer to this as a Pavlovian response, right?
Yeah, like dogs drooling for a treat.
Exactly. But in the context of intravenous narcotics, it is so much darker than that. When Ivan Pavlov rang a bell before feeding his dogs, they eventually salivated at the sound of the bell alone. But that was a natural response to a natural stimulus food.
Right. Which keeps you alive.
Exactly. What Jason is experiencing is the artificial hijacking of his mesolimbic dopamine system.
That's the brain's primary reward pathway, right?
Yes.
So his brain is anticipating the drug just by seeing the syringe.
It's even more than anticipation, really. It's a biological demand.
For demand.
Yeah, because when a potent drug repeatedly spikes dopamine levels to unnatural heights, the brain actually begins to alter its own physical structure.
To compensate.
Yes, it reduces its natural dopamine production. So soon, the only way the brain can feel normal or experience any pleasure at all is through the drug. So when Jason sees the syringe, his brain recognizes the actual mechanism of its survival. The watering mouth, the intense focus, These are the body's autonomic nervous systems firing up, preparing the digestive and circulatory systems to receive and process a massive, sudden influx of neurochemicals.
The text describes him watching the syringe with hungry eyes.
Such a visceral description.
It is. Gloria shoots the excess liquid up into the air to clear the air bubbles, and Jason can literally feel the drug in the back of his throat before the needle even touches his skin.
It's haunting.
I don't think people realize how terrifying it is to have your body betray you like that. You are sitting there consciously aware that you are craving a substance that is destroying your reality, but your cells are screaming for it.
And that hunger, that desperation, highlights the core ethical and medical tragedy of this whole situation.
Because Willie knows exactly what he's doing.
Exactly. A Willie isn't just a careless caregiver making an accidental dosage mistake. He is deliberately cultivating this dependency.
But why?
Because it aligns with a very specific, deeply rooted worldview that he holds. We cannot view this rogue pharmacology in a vacuum. It is the direct manifestation of Willie's philosophy on life, death, and healing.
Let's dig into that philosophy, because Willie is operating on a completely different wavelength than the textbook doctors at Columbia Hospital.
A totally different universe.
He has this deep connection to his Native American heritage,
Yeah.
specifically the Ute Nation. And he believes that nature is the ultimate healer.
Right.
He explicitly states that nature is the spirit of the earth, and that his ancestors believed nature takes care of those who take care of the earth.
It's a transactional relationship with the planet.
Yeah. In his mind, if you nourish the earth, she repays you in health.
It is a fundamentally holistic view of existence where the human body is not separate from the environment, but an extension of it.
Okay, I can see the appeal of that.
Sure, it sounds beautiful in theory.
Mhm.
And Willie points out to Gloria that even mainstream Western drugs have natural roots.
Oh, like when he mentions penicillin?
Exactly. He cites penicillin as an old native remedy derived from mold. He uses this fact to legitimize his own dangerous practices, essentially arguing that modern medicine merely steals from nature and then ruins it in a laboratory.
He draws a very hard line when it comes to synthetic lab chemicals. Like, he specifically targets Jason's primary physician, Dr. Wells.
He really has it out for Dr. Wells.
He does. He says people like Dr. Wells would rather dispense a lab-made chemical like midriasol for Jason's eyes, whereas Willie would use extracts of green hellebore or dogbane to open up his blood vessels.
Which is, it's just so dangerous.
Willie claims that because Dr. Wells' medicine comes from a chemistry lab, it carries negative side effects like pain and mood changes. But wait, green hellebore? What actually happens if you inject someone with that?
Okay, this is where the romanticization of natural medicine becomes incredibly dangerous, even lethal. Yes. Green hellebore, or Veratrum viride, is a highly toxic plant. Now, historically, indigenous populations did use it for various ailments, but the margin of error between a therapeutic dose and a lethal dose is razor thin.
So it's very easy to overdose.
Incredibly easy. It contains powerful alkaloids that profoundly affect the cardiovascular system.
So it's not just some soothing herbal extract you put in a tea.
Not at all. If injected directly into the bloodstream, it can cause severe bradycardia, the dangerous slowing of the heart rate, and extreme hypotension or dangerously low blood pressure.
Wow. What about the other one you mentioned, dogbane?
Dogbane is just as bad. It contains cardiac glycosides, compounds very similar to what is found in foxglove, which can cause fatal cardiac arrhythmias.
That's fatal.
Yes. Willie is sitting there criticizing Dr. Wells for the side effects of synthetic drugs, completely ignoring or maybe rationalizing the lethal potential of his own botanical arsenal.
But Willie's critique of Dr. Wells goes beyond just the origin of the medicine, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a fundamental rejection of how modern medicine approaches chronic or seemingly hopeless cases like Jason's.
Exactly. Willie believes that Dr. Wells was only ever taught how to care for a coma patient.
Just keeping him breathing.
Right. In the modern medical paradigm, when a patient suffers catastrophic, irreversible trauma, the goal often shifts from curing to maintenance.
Which makes sense from a triage perspective.
Yes, you keep the vitals stable, you prevent infection, you manage pain. It is a reductionist approach focused entirely on sustaining biological life.
But Willie saw that and felt it was an absolute failure.
Total failure.
He claims Dr. Wells merely kept the machine running, but made absolutely no effort to improve Jason's actual existence. Willie believes Jason was lying in that hospital bed, actively dying.
Slow decay.
Yeah, and the Dr. Wells had essentially given up, perhaps due to pressure from insurance companies or the Army stopping payment for care.
Which is a valid criticism of the healthcare system, to be fair.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
So operating under what he sees as his duty as a spiritual healer, Willie decided to just step in.
And that decision leads us to the absolute most dangerous ideological shift in the entire narrative.
The hallucination aspect.
Yes. Because Willie doesn't view the human experience purely through the lens of biology. He interprets Jason's drug-induced psychosis not as a medical emergency, but as a spiritual necessity.
I was absolutely stunned when I read this part.
It's hard to read.
Gloria is sitting there, watching Jason after an injection. She leans over and she sees his eyes darting wildly beneath his closed eyelids. It looks terrifying.
REM sleep on overdrive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Willie, standing right there, insists that Jason is not hallucinating. He tells Gloria he dreams. And to Willie, the dream world is the spiritual world.
By redefining a chemically induced hallucination as a legitimate spiritual journey, Willie completely invalidates the severe medical danger Jason is in.
He's reframing the reality of the situation.
He is essentially gaslighting Gloria, using profound spiritual terminology to mask severe neurological distress.
But look at it from Gloria's perspective for a second. It offers her an incredible amount of psychological comfort.
Oh, of course.
She has watched her son lie immobile in a sterile bed for 2 years. Now this calm, confident figure is telling her, don't worry, your son isn't losing his mind to synthetic drugs. His soul is just taking a healing walk.
Right. It's a deeply seductive narrative for a desperate mother.
It gives purpose to Jason's suffering.
It does. It transforms a senseless tragedy into a meaningful quest. But medically and psychologically, it is catastrophic.
Because it's not a real spiritual journey.
Well, historically, many cultures have used entheogens, psychoactive substances like ayahuasca or peyote to induce spiritual states.
Right.
But those journeys are typically undertaken by healthy individuals in a highly controlled ceremonial context with their full consent and understanding.
Consent being the key word there.
Exactly. Willie is forcing a shamanic journey onto a non-consenting, medically fragile, traumatized soldier.
And here's the thing. If Jason's mind is being forcibly detached from his body and sent into this chemically constructed spiritual plane, what happens to the physical body he leaves behind?
It's neglected.
Right. If his soul is off wandering, who is minding the store?
That disconnect is the exact peril. When the focus shifts entirely to the integrity of the soul or the spirit world, the physical body is relegated to an afterthought.
Like a husk.
Yes, it becomes a disposable vessel. And we see the immediate terrifying implications of this mindset when Willie examines Jason's paralyzed left arm.
The dead arm. This scene is incredibly tense.
So tense.
Willie performs a very tactile physical exam. He takes this heavy, doughy limb in his large hands. He massages the tissue, checking for hard spots. He presses his fingers deep into the glands under the arm, pushes into the brachial artery in the upper arm, and tracks the pulse all the way down to the wrist.
It's a very thorough, grounded medical assessment.
It is, which makes his conclusion all the more jarring for the listener. Because he isn't ignoring the physical reality, he's intimately aware of it.
He knows exactly what's wrong with the arm.
But when Gloria asks the question that has clearly been haunting her,
Yeah.
Will the arm have to be amputated? Willie casually replies, most likely.
He just accepts it.
Just like that. He notes that Dr. Wells simply assumed Jason would die before an amputation became necessary, which is why they never did it at the hospital.
Right.
Willie admits they can't perform an amputation at the house, obviously, but the casual acceptance of losing the limb is deeply disturbing.
To understand why Willie is so unfazed by the prospect of amputation, we really have to listen carefully to the story he tells Gloria next.
Oh, this story.
Yeah, he uses a tragedy to justify his entire perspective on spinal injuries, amputations, and the threshold of human suffering.
The story of the man from Idaho.
Yes.
Willie tells Gloria about a cousin of a friend, a native outdoorsman, who slipped off the edge of a mountain while hiking and severely injured his leg.
A terrible accident.
And the core conflict in this story revolves around medical impatience versus natural healing. Willie explains that the man wanted to wait, to see if feeling would return to the leg naturally.
But the doctors didn't want to wait.
No, they didn't hesitate. They amputated the leg right away to save his life from infection.
And the aftermath of that decision is horrific for the man. He developed severe phantom pains in the missing leg.
For listeners who might not be familiar with the mechanics of phantom limb pain, how does a person feel agony in a limb that is, sitting in a biohazard bin?
It's a fascinating and deeply tragic neurological phenomenon.
How does it work?
So, the brain contains a somatosensory cortex.
Okay.
Think of it as a physical map that corresponds to every single part of your body.
Like a blueprint in your head.
Yes. When a limb is amputated, the nerve endings at the stump are severed, obviously, but the area of the brain mapped to that limb remains completely intact and active.
It's still looking for signals.
Exactly. Without normal sensory input, the brain begins to rewire itself. Adjacent areas of the sensory map expand into that vacant territory.
Wow.
This cortical reorganization often results in the brain misinterpreting random nerve misfires as intense, agonizing pain in a limb that no longer exists.
But the man in Willie's story didn't understand it as a neurological misfire, did he?
Oh, he didn't.
He believed the phantom pain was absolute proof that his spine had actually healed. He believes his spine was successfully sending signals down to a leg that was no longer there.
It's just heartbreaking.
Which meant, in his mind, the leg could have been saved if the doctors had just waited.
And that tragic misunderstanding of neuroplasticity fueled a massive legal battle. He sued the doctors.
And this is where Willie's story highlights the impenetrable bureaucratic wall of the modern medical establishment.
David versus Goliath.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The doctors fought back with expensive corporate lawyers, the medical board backed them unequivocally, and the story was entirely suppressed.
Right. Willie claims major news networks like CNN and MSNBC refused to report on it because their corporate lawyers didn't want to get into a drawn-out legal war with the medical establishment's lawyers.
So the man lost absolutely everything. He lost his case, he lost his leg, and ultimately he lost his will to live.
He hung himself with a belt.
It's a devastating story of a man crushed by a system he didn't understand and an injury he just couldn't cope with. But Willie's takeaway from this tragedy, it's what just stops you dead in your tracks.
Yes. Willie frames the suicide not as a tragedy of mental health or systemic failure, but as a spiritual release.
He tells Gloria, in my belief, he's better off.
Just incredibly bleak.
I am having a really hard time processing that. He's essentially saying the man is better off dead than living with an amputation.
Because Willie views existence through a very specific cultural and spiritual lens.
Right.
He argues that because the man was a native whose entire life and identity were tied to the outdoors, losing his leg made the physical world too small for him.
He couldn't be who he was.
Exactly. He felt he could no longer physically navigate or enjoy the natural world. And in Willie's paradigm, if you are severed from the natural world, you are severed from the spiritual world.
So the body is the key to the spirit.
Yes. To Willie, a compromised physical form is an insurmountable barrier to spiritual fulfillment.
I have to push back hard on Willie's fatalism here.
Yeah.
This isn't spiritual enlightenment. This is a grotesque rationalization of despair.
It's giving up.
It's like being on a sinking ship, and instead of handing out life jackets or patching the hull, the captain tells everyone that the bottom of the ocean is a more spiritually fulfilling place to reside, so we shouldn't bother swimming.
That's a great analogy.
It's madness. And you have to wonder, what does this foreshadow for Jason? If Jason is facing the amputation of his dead arm, does Willie view that as a death sentence for Jason's soul?
It certainly implies that.
Does Willie think Jason would be better off dead, too?
That is the chilling subtext of Willie's entire presence in that house. If his priority is the integrity of the soul over the survival of the body, and he believes a fractured body traps the soul, then Jason is in profound danger.
Very profound.
The caregiver is fundamentally disconnected from the goal of physical survival. And this danger escalates exponentially when the responsibility of administering this potent, mind-altering drug is suddenly handed over to Jason himself.
The transition of power here is just terrifying.
It's the point of no return.
With Willie's intense philosophy steering the ship and the threat of amputation hovering over them, Gloria decides Jason needs to take charge of his own medication.
Which is a terrible idea.
We reach this climax where Jason begins self-injecting this customized barbican blend, and we witness his complete descent into what I can only describe as the laughing house.
The instructions Gloria gives him are a masterclass in medical negligence.
Honestly.
Because Willie had to move the PICC line due to the intense pain in Jason's right arm, Gloria tells Jason he needs to learn to administer the drug himself.
To his dead arm.
Right. Keep in mind, this is a man who is recently in a coma, who is suffering from severe trauma, and who is already showing signs of acute physiological addiction.
And her dosage guidelines are incredibly vague.
Oh, they're non-existent.
She literally waves a syringe past his face and says, "Put in about this much."
About this much.
And then she adds the most dangerous addendum possible. A little more if you're in pain or want to sleep.
unbelievable.
I cannot emphasize enough how insane that is. It's like handing a loaded firearm to someone who is blindfolded and telling them to just pull the trigger a little bit if they feel stressed out.
It really highlights how entirely normalized this rogue chemistry has become in their household. Gloria doesn't see it as a powerful narcotic anymore. She sees it as a household utility, like taking a pain reliever.
So Jason is sitting there in the kitchen. His mouth is watering. He is staring at this clear liquid with those hungry eyes.
Anticipating the rush.
Gloria presses the needle into the PICC line and pushes the liquid directly into his vein. And the break from reality is not a slow fade. It is instantaneous.
Immediate.
The moment the chemical hits his bloodstream, his attention is violently hijacked.
When a drug bypasses the digestive system and is introduced intravenously, the onset of action is measured in seconds.
Right.
The drug crosses the blood-brain barrier almost immediately, flooding the receptor sites and radically altering sensory processing.
Right across the kitchen, the microwave, it laughs at him.
The microwave laughs.
The text describes it specifically as a deep, cynical laugh.
This is a brilliant and terrifying depiction of an auditory hallucination. It's not just a random buzzing or a ringing in the ears.
No, it has intent.
Exactly, it has character. The human brain is hardwired for apophenia.
What's apophenia?
It's the tendency to perceive meaningful patterns or connections in random data.
Like seeing shapes in the clouds.
Exactly. We see faces in clouds and we hear voices in static. Under the influence of this powerful hallucinogen, Jason's brain takes the ambient mechanical hum of the microwave and assigns it a malicious, cynical personality.
It's assigning human traits to an appliance.
Yes. It suggests a mocking awareness of Jason's highly vulnerable state.
And Gloria is completely oblivious.
She has no idea.
She doesn't hear the microwave mocking her son. She just tells him she's leaving the box of vials in the nightstand, effectively giving him an unlimited supply.
Which is sealing his fate.
She pulls Jason out of his chair by his good arm, and he stumbles behind her to the bedroom. It's described as this terrifying, yet bizarrely euphoric stumble.
Because his motor skills are shot, but his brain is flooded with artificial reward chemicals.
Right? She sits him on the bed and gives him a gentle push to get him to lie down.
And this is where the environment completely dissolves into full-blown, drug-induced psychosis.
As he lies there, he watches that 80s stained glass lantern sway overhead. He feels what the text calls warm phantoms passing through his ears.
Oh, wow.
The walls themselves begin to physically lean to and fro with every single breath he takes. The entire architecture of his childhood home, his supposed sanctuary, is breathing with him.
It's alive.
And then the room breaks out into hysterical laughter.
Visual and auditory hallucinations are just cascading over one another at this point.
The walls are giggling. The entire house joins in this cacophony of joy. It's overwhelming. But underneath it all, cutting through the hysteria of the giggling walls, is that microwave.
The cynical laugh.
The deep, cynical laugh from the kitchen is still there. It's not louder than the rest of the house, but it keeps a distinct, noticeable rhythm beneath the chaos.
It's like a metronome of malice keeping time while his reality fractures.
This brings us to the ultimate psychological horror of this scene. The true terror isn't that Jason is hallucinating a laughing house.
No, it's his reaction to it.
The visceral, creeping dread comes from how he accepts it. The text leaves us with this final, chilling sentence. Jason giggles along with the house, and he didn't mind as long as everyone was happy.
I couldn't believe that line when I read it.
He doesn't mind.
We are witnessing the absolute horror of completioncy.
Yeah.
Ego dissolution is a common feature of intense psychedelic experiences, where the boundary between the self and the environment completely disappears.
You become one with the room.
Exactly. But here, it is cloaked in domestic comfort and chemically induced euphoria. He is comfortably, joyfully accepting the total destruction of his own sanity.
It is deeply, profoundly unsettling. We're leaving Jason suspended in a house that is literally laughing at him, caught in this twilight zone between his waking life and a chemically induced spiritual plane.
He's just lost to it.
He is now entirely dependent on a drug blend created by a man who thinks physical disability makes a person better off dead.
A deadly combination.
Just to recap this terrifying journey, we've watched Jason escape a sterile, regulated hospital only to be subjected to unchecked, highly dangerous home health care.
Fraudulent home health care.
Yes, he is the unwitting subject of a medicine man's rogue pharmacology, and we've seen a traumatized, physically broken soldier develop a desperate cellular hunger for a drug that is actively shattering his reality.
And if we take a moment to consider Willie's philosophy.
Oh, this is the part that gets me.
Right. If Willie is right, and Jason isn't just suffering from a massive neurochemical misfire, but is actually accessing a genuine spiritual world.
And what exactly is the entity laughing at him through the microwave?
Exactly. Is that cynical rhythm just pareidolia in a drug-addled brain? Or has Jason accidentally opened a door and invited something else, something dark and mocking, into his childhood home?
That is a thought that will keep you up at night, questioning every creak and hum in your own house. Are you prepared for the increasingly blurred lines between Jason's dreams and reality?
I'm ready.
This is Troy. I wanted to thank you for listening and hope that you tune in for my weekly presentation of In Darkness We Sleep. Vocals by Eric Neubauer and Troy St. James. Music and episode art provided by Robert McNichol. I can be contacted directly at troystjames@cox.net. This audio podcast is produced by Troy St. James, copyright 2012. Have a good night.